For example, when I enter a villa, I need to clean the soles of my shoes. Don't dirty the floor. I suddenly remembered that every time I return to the villa in Dreamland, I walk in with muddy soles. I suddenly felt very embarrassed. She also reminded me to quickly go to the bathroom. It's best not to use Director Leon's bathroom. Every time I go to the bathroom in Dreamland, I have never even lifted the toilet seat. She finally reminded me not to go to her room, especially Director Leon's bedroom. Director Leon's room in Dreamland. That is the battlefield between Lillian and me. Just when I felt very unnatural, suddenly there was a robbery not far away. In the distance, a man was seen running with a bag in his hand. He was being chased by a group of people. At this moment, the thief happened to be passing by across the street from me. I directly took the handbag from Daisy's hand. I was met with Daisy's terrified gaze. I threw the briefcase containing important documents outside. Only a loud thud was heard. The briefcase smashed onto the leg of the fleeing thief. The thief was directly knocked down to the ground by this hit. The documents were scattered all over the floor as well. Earlier, I used her bag to hit the thief. I am very worried she will be angry. I heard Daisy, who was tidying up the files, suddenly shouted my name. I broke out in a cold sweat instantly. I didn't expect her to turn around. She looked at me with admiration in her eyes, and said I was really amazing. I accurately hit the thief. She thought it was really cool and asked if I could teach her. Her sudden change in personality to be so lively caught me off guard a bit. It turns out that her previous reserved demeanor was just a facade. She was more reserved when we first met. Now it's different. I seem like a Superman in her eyes. So this manner is her true personality. After the lady who found her bag thanked me, she also offered to help us pick up things. Just at this moment, I found a business card of David from Peak Group. I asked the team leader if this card is in the file. The team leader said yes. A very important partner. Then she quickly took the card, afraid that others might see it. After all, it's the business card of the boss of a global top 100 enterprise. I feel like I've heard the name David somewhere before. She thought I had heard that David and Lillian were in a romantic relationship. Tell me, is Lillian going on a cruise trip with David recently? Oh, I remembered. Lillian mentioned this in Dreamland. It's her boyfriend's name. I remind Daisy to hurry up and pack. Otherwise, we will be late for dinner. Later remind yourself not to think too much. It's just a game. We quickly arrived at Director Leon's mansion. Daisy said the party was being held in the backyard of the mansion. I then skillfully led the way. Soon, I took her directly to the backyard. Colleagues were greeting us as we walked in. Daisy thought I was amazing. It was as if I was walking in my own home. We arrived directly without any difficulties. At this moment, my eyes were fixed firmly on the front. That figure looked exactly like the one in the Dreamland game. Director Leon said that since everyone had arrived, we should sit down quickly and get ready for the meeting. Daisy directly caught my words and suggested that we sit at the same table without any reservations. I feel that her actions are easily misunderstood. After we sat down, Director Leon began his meeting presentation. I found out from Daisy that the sales department was established based on Lillian's suggestion. And Lillian is the daughter of the chairman. Her position is higher than Director Leon. I am curious about Director Leon's background. He achieved the position of deputy director at such a young age. Daisy told me that Director Leon and Lillian have been childhood sweethearts. They have had a close relationship since they were young. And he is very capable. Not only is he a top student at a prestigious school, but he is also proactive and practical. They both feel that Director Leon and Lillian are a perfect match. I asked curiously, "Why did Director Lillian end up with David in the end?" Daisy responded mysteriously, "We don't understand the city life." However, she envies it. She also wants to experience the feeling of being surrounded by successful people. A dream is just a dream. In reality, I am tens of thousands of dollars in debt. Obviously, there is no possibility of having any intersection with Lillian. Director Leon has finished the meeting at this time. We can have a great time playing during the mealtime that follows. Classical music starts playing. Daisy feels the atmosphere suddenly becoming more upscale. Director Leon politely invites Lillian to dance. When seeing Lillian reach out to accept. At this moment, I don't know what I'm feeling. Dinner arrived quickly. Daisy said that this steak cost as much as her 1 month's salary. She only sees her holding up a glass of red wine, saying let's forget our worries. Tonight, both of us are all in the sinful capitalism. I also raise my glass and say she's right. A person cannot be without pride. But my eyes can't stay away from her figure. In Dreamland, she once told me that this red wine is fake. The taste is different from the authentic one. I was very angry at that time. But she said it didn't matter. Because she feels that the current sweetness level is just right for her. What I don't know is that the real-life Lillian still finds me very sweet. The atmosphere in the entire sales department is very harmonious. Director Leon treats employees very well. He is indeed Lillian's close friend. They do look like a perfect match. Director Leon looks like a trustworthy person. Lillian is with him. They should be able to live happily together. Because I'm too captivated by what I'm watching, my thoughts are also deeply engrossed. My hand touched the scorching hot steak directly. Immediately, I jumped up from being burned all over. I feel like this is a reminder for me not to give up on myself. Daisy looked at me with care. Let me not move. She is coming to help me deal with it. She only saw her pick up a bottle of mineral water and pour it on my hand. She said it's not too serious, it will heal in a couple of days. She even commented on how I am already grown up, but still so restless. Suddenly, I felt a little embarrassed too. However, her actions. The colleagues nearby started to cheer. It seems like the sales department has another couple. At this moment, Lillian doesn't know what she's thinking. In any case, Director Leon can be seen in Lillian's eyes. Lillian looks at me with a gaze that reflects his own feelings towards her. Just at this moment, 3 people suddenly broke into the backyard of the villa. The person in the middle is clearly not a good person. He knew as soon as he spoke that Lillian was about to take office. He came to congratulate her without authorization. Then he asked Lillian what was going on. Why would David's fiancée dance with another man? I am very curious about who this newcomer is. Daisy told me that his name is Zach Pete Group, the domestic general agent. He is a celebrity around David. It turns out he is David's acquaintance. It is indeed awkward at this moment. Everyone is whispering. Director Leon said not to overthink about Zach. Just dance at the party to liven up the atmosphere. Isn't this very normal? Lillian also quickly expressed gratitude for Zach coming in person. But after all, this is an internal party. While Lillian was speaking, Zach's eyes were constantly suppressing her. Lillian wanted to use the reason of discussing business in detail at the company tomorrow to ask Zach to leave first. However, Zach interrupted, saying it wasn't urgent and that he had misunderstood. He mentioned that he had nothing to do now and suggested joining the party. He also mentioned that he had some knowledge of dance and wanted to invite Lillian to dance with him. As soon as Director Leon heard this, he immediately stepped forward to intervene. He said that Zach didn't know something. Actually, he and Lillian have been old classmates. It's not very appropriate for a girl to dance with someone she's not familiar with. Zach was being sarcastic. He said he just wanted to dance and nothing more. Director Leon, don't overthink it. He also said it's not Director Leon's place to overthink such matters. Director Leon suddenly felt extremely embarrassed. He didn't know how to respond. Daisy, who could only see Director Leon's back, felt a strong sense of tension. She was very worried that a fight might break out. Just at the moment when Director Leon felt embarrassed, Lillian put her hand on his shoulder. Then she quickly intervened and said, "Zach is our partner. No need to be so serious." Zach mentioned that Lillian is still the most reasonable. Then he extended his hand and said, "Please." Lillian felt very helpless. However, she still accepted. Daisy watched while dancing. Zach, who took advantage of the situation, felt really nauseous. Zach indicated that David had already arranged it. From now on, he would be the one to contact Lillian to meet David, and he also mentioned that long-distance relationships are really not easy. Lillian could tell that Zach was cautioning her. He could send her abroad early to meet David. Lillian mentioned about the hard work Zach had put in. Zach says it's not hard, but his dancing actions are becoming increasingly dishonest. She didn't expect Lillian to push her away and say he was too close. She said she was sorry and would pay attention next time. However, deep down, she thought Lillian was pretending. Daisy, who was two-faced, watched everything. She believed Director Leon was about to explode. But she has no way out. The difference in identity and power is just too great. I held the red wine, staring hard at Zach and Lillian. I saw Zach's hand slowly sliding down. Fortunately, Lillian grabbed Zach's hand. Then she used the excuse that Zach was a beginner and couldn't jump to let it go. Zach, however, didn't want to give up. Looking at Director Leon Daisy, who has not responded yet, she feels that he seems a little hesitant. At this moment, I unconsciously begin to grip the red wine glass tightly. Zach feels that Lillian is not giving him face at all. He wants to retaliate. He was seen stepping on Lillian's skirt with one foot. Then he gave a push with his hand. Lillian was pushed directly backwards by this push. With a loud snap, her belt broke. However, Director Leon, who stood at the side, although very angry, did not make any move. It seems like I have underestimated Director Leon. Precision aiming activated. Suddenly, that feeling of muscles being automatically controlled swept through the whole body. Seeing Zach trying to pull off Lillian's entire dress. I can't bear it anymore. I threw the steak on the plate directly out. With a scream, the steak hit Zach right in the face. Zach jumped straight because he was scalded. It was only then that his feet released from stepping on Lillian's clothes. After Lillian fell, everyone stood up excitedly. Zach then angrily scolded everyone not to move. He then had his two sidekicks check who threw the steak. The sidekick soon came to my side and stared at my table for a while. He then said that he did not find anything here. I said, "Thank you," to Daisy. Luckily, Daisy just shared half of her steak with me. It seems like I managed to brush it off. Daisy smiled and said, "You're welcome," to me. She didn't expect that I dared to throw the steak on Zach's face. He is a person that even Director Leon wouldn't dare to offend. Zach was furious when he heard the report from his subordinate that there was no clue found. He yelled at everyone, "We didn't find the person today. No one is allowed to leave." With a loud slap, Zach was interrupted in the middle of his sentence. It turns out that Lillian finally couldn't help but make a move. She directly slapped Zach and sent him flying out. She asked Zach to quickly leave with his people. She is already running out of patience with him. Suddenly, everyone in the audience was stunned by Lillian's incredible performance. It turns out Lillian is so fierce. Fortunately, she has never beaten me in Dreamland. Zach has already been helped up by his sidekick. He can't believe that Lillian would hit him. Lillian told him that humility is etiquette, not a hint at nonsense. Director Leon also said, "What goes around comes around. Don't force him to call the police." Zach still wanted to continue expressing anger, but he was pulled back by the sidekick next to him. I don't know what his sidekick said to him in his ear. Zach immediately smiled and said there was no need to call the police. He also told Lillian they would see each other tomorrow. Director Leon felt that they suddenly backed down. They must be up to something. However, Lillian didn't care about that. She wanted to go change her clothes. I thought the gathering would end there. I actually caught the eye of my team leader. She dragged me out for supper and brought along so much alcohol. I didn't know that. The team leader's goal today is to take me down. She said Zach was such a buzzkill today. Let's drink slowly. I quickly said that I really can't handle alcohol well. I screamed for help inside. I only have 400 yuan left. I have to make it to Monday before I get paid. Daisy thought I was quite stubborn. She decided to fight alongside me. She said she would drink 3 cups for every 1 cup I drank. I had no choice but to agree. Now I can only try to get her drunk quickly. We kept drinking until 1 a.m. Daisy was eventually completely drunk, unconscious. I want to ask if it's convenient to send her home to Nayli, who knew she stood on the table and started singing. I immediately stood up worried she might fall. Daisy then lunged towards me. And then, she directly knocked me down onto the table. I asked her to quickly get up. I didn't expect she actually gave me a kiss on the cheek. And her hands were also very naughty. To be honest, I couldn't help myself in that situation. It's a relief because the hotel is about to close. The waiter is coming over with the bill. But when I took the bill, I felt as if thunder had struck me out of a clear sky. Not more, not less. Consumed 400. I saw Daisy getting herself drunk. I could only bring her to the place where I live. However, what I didn't know was that all of this was intentional by Daisy. What I didn't know even more was that we were being followed. When I got home, I put Daisy on my bed. At that moment, Daisy unexpectedly started acting cute and asking for a hug. I was so scared that I protected myself with my hands, urging her to go to sleep quickly. I really don't want to be involved in any scandal right after entering a new department. However, at that time, Daisy was thinking that if she didn't do something soon, she would really pass out. So Daisy began to sit up in bed. Then she looked at me cutely. I was completely stunned by her actions. The next moment, she pounced on me. And that's how I was pounced on by her and fell to the ground. I questioned her about what she was up to. At this moment, Daisy's only thought was to take advantage of it and make a move before getting drunk. She wants to see how much longer this good boy act of mine can last. Seeing that she was about to take the next step, I grabbed her hand directly and said that it would lead to major issues. Daisy, on the other hand, chuckled and said that she could already feel that I was very enthusiastic. I quickly explained that it was not what she thought. She whispered in my ear, "What are you afraid of? How could an ordinary, passionate young person possibly withstand this kind of situation? It looks like I am going to be picked up by her today." However, after a long time, the sound of snoring could be heard. Daisy actually fell asleep just like that. I just pushed her down. She just burped after that. She directly made me almost want to vomit from the stench. I am much clearer now. After I covered Daisy with the blanket, I found it was already 2 in the morning. I need to go to bed quickly. Decided to rough it on the sofa for the night. It's late. I don't know what time someone opened the door to my house. I heard a rattling sound as I slept on the sofa. I groggily opened my eyes to take a look. I found a man running into my room. And Daisy was sleeping in that room. In the previous episode, it was mentioned that it was midnight. I found someone entering my room. And my colleague was asleep in my room. The man looked at Daisy and smirked. He said, "Not bad quality." I immediately walked into the room and asked him what he was doing and how he got in. He actually asked me not to be so loud, saying it's a waste to make noise after I had fun. He suggested that I play with him. I just went up and immediately locked his throat to make him get out. Who knew this person was a fighter? He directly countered and threw me with a shoulder throw. He calmly said, "Aren't we discussing this?" He said that he owes me a favor now. He will help me in the future if I need it. Either wait for him to have money to pay me back. He also said we are both men, asking me to understand. After he finished speaking, he directly flicked her panties onto my face. Is this person sick? I picked up a nearby stool and smashed it down on his head. I didn't expect that. He punched the stool, that was smashed towards him directly. With a bang, the stool was smashed to pieces by him directly. He proudly said, "Do you believe it now?" He highly values relationships. I see him acting so arrogantly. He even said there was no need to involve the police, causing chaos and destruction. He didn't need to break into a private residence and conspire against my colleague. Am I supposed to applaud you for that? The man directly rushed over to stop me and said, "Wait, something's wrong, young man." It turned out he thought I was a John and my colleague was a prostitute. I asked him how we looked like a John and a prostitute. Then he suddenly said, "Can you go to bed with someone after just meeting them for a day now?" I asked him not to talk nonsense. He told me he had been abroad for 20 years and didn't understand the current customs. I don't think this is a valid reason. He doesn't go home and instead squats at my door in the middle of the night. He told me that this place was his house 20 years ago. He came back to retrieve the weapons he buried underground. He left them in the corner of this house, with a series of fumbles from him. He did indeed open a secret compartment. He took out the things for me to see. He said that no one had discovered it in these 20 years. This is all he traded his life for. The room was full of prostitutes 20 years ago. No one bent down to pick up the money on the floor. If you want gold, you have to take it from his fingers with your mouth. I think he had nothing to do with me before. What should I do about my colleague's innocence? He said it was all a misunderstanding. He also stopped in time. He also said he couldn't be considered a good person. But he is not a scoundrel who bullies men and women. He has his principles. He asked me to help my colleague put on clothes. It's time for him to go. I really want to send him to the police station to explain. I told him that soliciting prostitution is illegal. He asked me to give him a chance to turn over a new leaf. I couldn't stop him at all. Then he gave me a wooden box. He said we were quits. I asked him what this meant. I didn't want to feel like I was bribing him, trying to keep a sense of integrity. He said the ring inside was made of iron and not valuable, just a bit unique. Since he received it that day, I've been dreaming about a woman all the time. The woman is wearing a red coat, holding a golden scepter, and her eyes are glowing blue. He couldn't understand what the woman was saying. He tried to flirt with her, but ended up getting beaten up. He felt like his own flirtatious behavior attracted the female ghost. Why does it sound so much like number 63 to me? He let me handle it myself. He said there's a group of people who enjoy being beaten up. I can sell it to them at a high price. Does this thing have something to do with the Dreamland system? Let's open it first. As soon as the box is opened, there is a ring emitting colorful light. There was also a tickling sound from my left eye. Then a red figure ran out from the ring. Hello, I am the Dreamland system developer. Under pressure, I can only leave this message in this form. I hope to remind the tester that you are already trapped. Dreamland will blur the boundaries of reality in terms of social class, law, and morality. It is difficult for the user to realize that their mentality is changing. This kind of gap will lead to greed and violent crime when you return to reality. The developer seems to enjoy manipulating a person's fate. I cannot persuade them to scrap and rebuild the system. I hope you can be vigilant about your own changes. Do not be driven by desire. I have communication facilities in various Dreamland missions that can help you remove the system and get rid of the trouble. He disappeared when he came to me. The developer looks exactly like number 63. The mid-aged guy met number 63 20 years ago. It was also after moving here that I obtained the Dreamland system. Is this ring the terminal for the system? Suddenly, the alarm on my phone on the desk rang. I didn't realize it was already 7 o'clock in the morning. Daisy was also woken up by the phone ringing. When she saw herself naked, a scream echoed throughout the entire building. That's how I got stuck with Daisy. After that, we went to buy breakfast together. Then we walked towards the office together. Why did I end up with this kind of thing? We just arrived downstairs at the company. The crowd started to talk one after another. Turns out Daisy is the girl that the former team leader had been unable to pursue all along. When she entered the elevator, Daisy discussed going to watch a movie at night. She knew of a place that is only open to couples. Now, she can finally walk in with her head held high. How did this fall on me? Looks like I have to ask him for money. She also said for safety reasons. She has to go to the adult store tonight. At this moment, another person walked into the elevator. I was suddenly at a loss when I saw the newcomer. This person is none other than my girlfriend from Dreamland. She is also Director Lillian in my reality. Daisy immediately greeted Lillian, but I dare not look at her in the eye. Lillian looked at the two of us. She said that the progress is quite fast. It seems that Lillian heard what Daisy just said. Lillian said I impress her as quite steady. It really made her take a second look at me. Upon hearing these words, I feel like I have fallen into an abyss. Daisy also said she thought I was pretty honest. As a result, I let my guard down last night. I quickly covered her mouth. Lillian's fist was already making a cracking sound under the covers. At this moment, her mood. I'm afraid only those who have had their boyfriend suddenly taken away by someone else would understand. But she could only smile and say it's fine. However, the company hopes that we can restrain ourselves a bit. Don't impact everyone's work. After Lillian left the elevator, Daisy started to complain. She thinks Lillian is clearly playing both sides and gossiping about others. But I believe that what Lillian said makes sense. Work should still come first at the company. I didn't expect Daisy to be unhappy about it. She thinks I am her boyfriend. I shouldn't be speaking up for other people. I should unconditionally support her. She also asked me if I intend to play around casually. I was touched when she mentioned getting married. I should consider our relationship. Daisy immediately hugged me and said, "Is this good?" She saw that I didn't react much. She grabbed my hand. She hopes I can be more initiative next time. In Lillian's office, Director Leon said to Lillian, "You've been a bit too forceful today. You don't have to work that much. You shouldn't have even skipped lunch." Lillian said she's not hungry. There are a lot of things going on in the new department. Director Leon has known Lillian for so many years. He knows that Lillian is lying to him. Directly asked Lillian if she's feeling anxious, right? Then Director Leon suddenly approaches Lillian. He stares into her eyes and asks if it's because of Carlos, right? Lillian feels a little uncomfortable under Director Leon's gaze. She turned her head and admitted that she didn't understand what Director Leon was saying. At this moment, unaware, I went to the office to find Director Leon. I told him that I had finished organizing my list. Director Leon turned around and said that you've come at the right time. He asked me to show him the list. Lillian looked even more uncomfortable at this point. Director Leon commented as he looked at the list. "Not bad. The layout is clean and neat." And Lillian and I both lowered our heads, not daring to look at each other. Director Leon saw that I kept lowering my head and asked if I had something on my mind. I hurriedly said no, I was just looking at the potted plants. When I saw what the potted plant was, my heart skipped a beat suddenly twice. I sweat profusely and asked, "Is this a tomato seedling?" Lillian, who was operating the computer, stopped. She looked up at me. "You seem very knowledgeable about tomatoes," I said instinctively. "Yes." Lillian in Dreamland planted a lot of tomatoes. For the sake of tomatoes, she didn't hesitate to fight with mice. When times were toughest, only tomatoes were left. Lillian looked at me and asked if we had met somewhere before. I said yes. I wanted to tell the story in Dreamland, but I stopped myself. My heart rate tightened again. I thought of number 63's words that it was just a game. The game is over now. I also thought of the developer's words. Hope you can be alert to your own changes. And Daisy's words. I'm your girlfriend. I also thought of Lillian, the girl with a flower-like smile in Dreamland. In the end, I still didn't say it out loud. I just told Lillian that I had seen her in the fields back in my hometown. She questioned Director Leon. Why would anyone grow tomatoes in the office? In the end, she still suppressed her inner impulses. She smiled and said that she had accidentally mixed up the seeds. Tomorrow, she will ask someone to repot the plants. Director Leon knew that it wasn't that simple, but he didn't continue to inquire. Inside the bathroom at this moment, I am using water to wake myself up a bit. You? The real-life Lillian is not the same person as the one in Dreamland. In reality, why can't she control the person who daydreams uncontrollably? At this moment, the Lillian in the office is also feeling fortunate. Fortunately, she managed to suppress the urge. What the developer said is right. I have been in the Dreamland trap without realizing it. If I get used to shooting in Dreamland, get used to killing, and even get used to Lillian's existence, what kind of person will I become? I am a junior clerk. She is the daughter of the chairman. We will no longer have any intersection. Lillian also sighed. Although that dream was so real. With that man. Went through many ups and downs for so many days. In the end, we all decided that it was time to let go of everything. The dream ended, and I no longer have any ties with her. After work, I borrowed 5,000 yuan from Troy. Daisy is already waiting for me at the company gate. Thinking of her angry appearance, I decided to take her out for a meal to cheer her up. I arrived downstairs at the company. I went to see downstairs. She was arguing with my former team leader. The team leader seemed to be saying something. Daisy seemed very resistant. I hurried over and stood in front of Daisy, asking what happened and if she was being bullied. Daisy said no. The former team leader said with a smile, "She will not be shameless like some people. She is just reminding Daisy to beware of the hypocrites around her." Then he left. I told Daisy that I always found this person annoying. I asked her not to bother with him. Then I grabbed her hand, ready to accompany her to go shopping and watch a movie. However, Daisy broke free from my hand. After a sudden silence in the air, Daisy said, breaking up. I didn't say anything. I'm ready to leave. She said we never understood each other. She asked me how much money I owe. I paused for a moment, then turned back with a bitter smile, saying, 200,000. For company employees with a monthly income of only a few thousand yuan, this amount is not small. Daisy said, "Let her go. She's just an ordinary girl from a regular family. She doesn't have that strong ability. Do you understand?" It turns out she also knew that my crush was not her. Why are all the good men attracted to Lillian? She said she really isn't worthy of me. So let's pretend nothing happened last night. Then she turned and left. I also picked up my phone and replied to the message from Troy. I found out that I owe 200,000. Daisy broke up with me. But this is not the first time. My first love in college also ended because of this reason. The debt made the whole family become silent. I am afraid to face the expressionless faces of my family. Although I have thought about starting a business, I have not found a stand-up project yet. How long do I have to stay in this vortex? Did I forget to turn off the stove? But why is this mid-aged guy still in my house? He even greeted me and said, "Good evening." I was about to explode with anger.